Go ahead, sir.
Could you introduce yourself to the court?
Sorry.
Could you introduce yourself to the court, spelling your first and last name, please?
Yeah, my name is Jyoti Yadav, and I'm the defendant in this case.
Can you spell your first name?
Yeah, it's Jyoti, Jyoti, and last name is Yadav.
And I know you're soft-spoken. If you can please speak as loud as you can so everyone in the room can hear you. Can you tell us how old you are?
Yeah, 35.
And are you a citizen of the United States?
No,
Who is your previous attorney in this case before the Warren County Court of Common Pleas?
attorney Brad Murmut.
Okay.
I need you to speak up a little bit, please.
Attorney Brad Murmut.
And what were the charges in this case?
Theft, stolen property, and fraud.
Did you speak to Mr. Mormond prior to entering your plea of guilty about any sort of immigration consequences?
No,
Did you ask to speak to Mr. Mormond about any sort of immigration consequences prior to entering your plea?
could you please repeat the question?
Did you ask to speak to Brad about the immigration consequences of a plea of guilty in this case?
No,
You didn't ask him at all about,
no, I did ask, but I mean, you are asking, did I ask him to ask any other attorney?
let me re-ask the question. Did you ever ask Brad what would happen on the immigration side of things if you were to plead guilty in this case?
I do, but then he said there will be no finding of guilt in this case, so I will be fine.
Okay. So what was your understanding of what would happen to you on the immigration side of things when you entered a plea of guilty?
At that time, I was not aware of my charges, so I thought it's ILC just like a informal diversion, and he said on the final record there will be no guilty finding of guilt, so the case will be dismissed and we will later expunge the case.
Okay. And understanding that with a dismissal and a possible expungement, what was your understanding of what would happen on the immigration side of things?
I was under the impression that if there will be no finding of guilt, then I will be fine for the immigration too.
Did you ever have a conversation with Mr. Mormont specifically about immigration
No,
consequences?
not at all. No.
Did you ask him to have those conversations?
No.
How long have you been in this country?
I mean, I was in India for 2 years, then came back in 2024. But before that, I was here for one year. So totally it's 4 or 5 years.
And what is your status here? How are you here?
Dependent visa, it's H4 visa based on my husband's.
And when did you first learn of there were going to be consequences for your immigration as a result of your multiple cases?
In January, after we hired Christopher Poe.
And why did you hire Christopher Pogue in January?
Because my visa was revoked in July 2025 after entering ILC.
Okay. And so your visa was revoked in January 2020 or July
July 2025.
of 2025, and you didn't hire an attorney until January of 2026?
Not at all.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And prior to getting Mr. Mormon, you had Tad Brittingham,
Yeah,
correct?
defense attorney Ted.
And he reached out to the sheriff's office on your behalf and spoke to them, trying to alleviate your immigration consequences before you were even charged.
Yes.
Would you agree with that? And then you hire Mr. Mormon, and there are a couple pretrials. Would you agree with that? You didn't come in one time and plead guilty.
Yes.
There were multiple pretrials.
Yeah, but at that time he didn't tell me any charges or anything about that. Before 21st May, I didn't know about any charges except I thought it's a felony. I was not aware about the theft, stolen property, and fraud.
So what was your understanding of why there were multiple pretrials?
You may ask my attorney. He didn't tell me anything before this trial. He just asked me a question about. I asked him the question about ILC, except that he never told me about my charges. That you are under these 3 charges. The day I was signing on 21st May, I got to know that I am charged with these 3 charges.
And so you were arraigned and you were served a copy of your indictment, correct?
It was served to my attorney, not to me.
So okay. And so there's an affidavit that, Mr. Duncan, you signed this. Who wrote this?
I signed it, but my attorney, I told my attorney about all this.
Okay. Because I'm a little confused. You thought that ILC would be fine because Mr. Mormon did correctly tell you that there would be no finding of guilt. If you completed it, your case would be dismissed, and then you could have it expunged, right?
Yes, correct.
And so you testified that you thought there weren't going to be any immigration consequences, and that you didn't really ask Mr. Mormon about those. But your affidavit says that you asked him multiple times, and he just didn't answer you.
He said since there will be no finding of guilt, he never do proper communication. He just stopped me on the whole case just 5 minutes, and on that day he explained about ILC, and then I said, is it okay for the immigration? Then he said since there will be no finding of guilt, so I guess it's not gonna affect as of my knowledge.
Did he ever suggest that you talk to an immigration attorney about the consequences?
Not as per my knowledge or memory. I don't think so.
You don't think so, or he did not?
He didn't notice.
Okay. And did you talk about the evidence with Mr. Mormon?
But after the December or January, before that, he didn't send me any charges. He didn't send me any indictment. He didn't send me any evidences.
So when you came and you stood at this podium, and Mr. Mormon wasn't your attorney that day, Miss Arway was, correct?
Yes.
And you went over the plea form with her, correct?
Yes.
And the judge did read you an advisement about immigration consequences, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it's your testimony today that that's the first time you heard there could be any consequences.
Exactly correct.
Did you ask for additional time to speak with your attorney? It's a yes or no question.
Because
ma'am.
the same day I get to know about the charges, so I was, and she just gave me 10 minutes to sign the form, and we were not able to compute that, what's going on.
Ma'am, I'm asking, when you heard the judge tell you, I'm informing you because you're not a citizen of the United States, that this could carry immigration consequences, did you ask for additional time to consult with anybody about that?
No, I didn't.
Did you tell the court that you had never been advised of potential immigration consequences?
No, I didn't.
Okay. And then your visa was revoked in 2025.
July.
Right, July of 2025. And what's your status now?
It's my visa, I-95 is valid after expiring of visa. Then I received a mail, as long as your I-95 is valid, I'm legal here as long as I don't leave the state.
Okay.
So after-
Until when?
Until they denied my extension. I applied for extension. Until I get the denial letter, I'm fine.
Okay.
My immigration attorney.
So you're continuing to check in with an immigration officer, and you're here legally as we sit here today.
Yes.
They just are likely not to renew your visa?
I mean, I don't know. It's my immigration lawyer is just saying that as of now the status is pending. So as long as they don't give me the final denial, I'm legal here.
So you don't even know that you're going to be deported or going to be completely denied your visa extension?
No, this case doesn't resolve, then my immigration attorney told me that it's more likely I will be deported based on these charges.
Again, we're again, you don't know that you will be deported, correct?
Now, he after January, I know I will be deported. Since my visa is revoked, so my extension will be more likely denied, and then I will be deportable.
Mr. Duncan, again, her understanding of the legal system obviously is very limited. And I'm not faulting, most lay people don't have a clear understanding. Her description of what happened in this court is highly inaccurate. So I'm suggesting that her interpretation of what her other lawyer has told her, I want to hear from Mr. Mormon, but I think you need to bring in your immigration lawyer, because she's saying likely and maybe and things like that, because just her description of what happened in my courtroom is inaccurate. There were 2 pretrials, number one, and at the time that, and then the ILC hearing was set 2 months later. So she made it sound as if it all happened at once and it was kind of forced upon her and she had no time to think. Or there were months in between. The first pretrial was March 19th, second pretrial was April 2nd. The plea wasn't until May 21st. I'm only suggesting that based upon what she's saying right now, she's not showing an actual prejudice that you might want to, because it just seems she's unclear of what the consequences are going to be. It seems very speculative to me at this point. Do you have any other questions for her?
Judge, I
No,
saw.
I want to let your attorney talk for you, please.
I don't have any further questions for her.
Okay, ma'am, you may step down. You can go back and join your attorney. Thank you, ma'am.
And I'm happy to bring in Mr. Pogue for that, and I apologize. It's my
But do you disagree with, you may have a seat. Thank you. Do you disagree with what I'm saying? It because right now, she still seems like she's, number one, she's very unclear what happened in my courtroom. My notes are very accurate, and it matches what it says on the docket as far as the number of times that she was here before me and the length of time between these hearings. This wasn't a few minute, she comes into court one time and someone's sliding a piece of paper in front of her telling her to sign it. That's inaccurate. Very confused. Is it your contention that because her criminal lawyer did not give her advice with regard to immigration, that is ineffective assistance of counsel? Is that your contention?
Our contention is not that. Our contention is that there was advice that my client took as immigration advice as it related to the ILC process, specifically pleading guilty but not having a finding of guilt.
Well, yeah, Mr. Moorman clearly and accurately explained on this witness stand the ILC process. I mean, I would agree with what he said. It's accurate. The problem I'm having is it seems that she's blaming Mr. Moorman for her guilty plea because now because there may be additional consequences, but she sought the advice of at least two immigration lawyers. Is that true?
I don't believe that is true, Your Honor.
Well, that's what the email seemed to suggest.
Could we recall, Ms. Yetta?
Again, that's the evidence I have so far. Her affidavit indicates that she didn't get legal advice until January of 2026.
That's what her testimony was as well, Your Honor. I mean, I
That's
think
correct.
I think the additional issue is that her affidavit says that Mr. Moorman gave her no immigration advice,
As he probably shouldn't, since he's not an immigration lawyer.
which is also what he testified, that he referred her to an
an
immigration
immigration.
attorney. The emails indicate that there were numerous immigration attorneys consulted. Her affidavit says he gave her no advice, accurately explained ILC that there would not be a finding of guilt, which is accurate, not in an immigration context, but in an ILC context. And so I think her testimony is slightly different than the affidavit, is different than the emails.
Well, let's give her an opportunity to explain some of this, because I am thoroughly confused as far as what her allegation actually is, especially against Mr. Moorman, because he indicated he's not an immigration lawyer. He indicated that he did not give her immigration advice, but instead referred her to an immigration lawyer that he used, that apparently her and her husband spoke to, and then got additional advice from a second immigration attorney. And again, I'm not sure what it is you're claiming, what was ineffective about Mr. Moorman's legal advice. I mean, wouldn't you expect someone who doesn't do immigration work to refer them to an immigration lawyer, which he did, and they spoke to him? Call her and see if you can straighten this out for me, please.
It says on there, we talked to another immigration attorney. That is, you're referring to an immigration attorney other than Mr. Bill Abdallah, is that correct? Did you speak to another immigration attorney other than Bill Abdallah?
No, honestly, I didn't spoke to even Bill too, because we called Bill and he said, I talked to the bread, I would not take your case and I have nothing to advise you as of now. So
Did you ever speak to Bill Abdallah yourself?
never.
Did you speak to his staff? And he mentioned a plea of guilty but no finding of guilt.
Correct.
Did you accept that as immigration advice?
Of course, because I thought there will be no final guilt, so I would be fine. That's what happened in the Mason case too. We entered in the guilty plea knowing that it will be dismissed with the same thing.
No further questions, Your Honor.
And I'm going to read this email, and I want you to tell me if I'm reading it wrong, okay? Hi, Brad, and this is from your husband, and you're copied on it, correct?
Correct.
Hi, Brad, we talked to another immigration attorney who agreed with Bill's advice. Is that what it says?
Yes.
Okay. So you knew what Bill's advice was.
We didn't talk to the Bill.
I'm asking if you knew what Bill's advice was.
No.
So how could another immigration attorney have agreed with Bill's advice if you didn't know what the advice was?
When Bill's advice was that as of now we cannot take your case, So you should discuss with your defense attorney if there is any way out or something like that.
And so you then talked to a second immigration attorney who, I mean, that's not really advice. But you spoke to another immigration attorney who said, we don't.
Because as long as they don't have the charges, they ask about the charges, we said it's a felony charge. So they said, as of now, we thought it's we have nothing to say. Ask your defense attorney to talk to us.
And did you ask Brad to talk to your immigration attorney?
We didn't hire it then. It was just a free consultation first.
Okay, and you said you knew nothing about the facts until when?
Until we hired another attorney until December. I swear on that before December we were not aware about the evidences, and before 21st May I didn't aware about the charges.
I'm going to turn you to page 2, and in the second paragraph of that bottom email on March 18th from your husband to Brad with you CC'd, your husband discusses the case. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, so he talks about the Best Buy incident, so you knew where it happened. He talks about you not realizing it was your card, so you knew what happened, and that you went back to return the camera. So what didn't you know about the charges?
I mean that these are the CIMT charges, like theft, stolen property, and
So you knew the
fraud.
charges, you just didn't know they were crimes of moral turpitude.
Correct. I just
Did
know
you-
that there is one charge, theft, and that's not CIMT or the other charges, the stolen property and receiving stolen property, that I get to know about the day I signed on 21st May.
Okay, so in the bottom of that email, your husband asks if you could manage to get diversion because ILC may be as bad as a conviction. Who told you that?
I think my husband might talk to someone or just Google these things that I'll see is.
But not from the numerous immigration attorneys you spoke to.
No, we didn't hire any.
And you're educated, correct? You went to law school in India. I have no further questions.
You may step down. You can step down, thank you. You can leave that, yes, thank you. Anything else, folks?
Not by way of testimony.
I guess I'm confused, because it does appear from the record, regardless of what her testimony is, which the court finds to be somewhat incredible, that they did in fact speak to at least 2 immigration attorneys well before the plea. In fact, he even indicates, her husband indicates, who has not been called as a witness, but he indicates that they understood that ILC may be as bad as a conviction for immigration purposes. So they understood that back in, that's March 18th of 2025, a couple months before the actual plea. She may be unhappy with the results, but it appears as though that at the time of the plea in May of 2025, that she was aware that the plea, the ILC, could have effect on her immigration status. The court will issue a written decision, but the motion is going to be denied. Anything else, folks?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, that's all.
At this point, the judge has clearly zeroed in on the biggest issue in the entire case: credibility. Notice how the court keeps comparing her testimony, the affidavit, and the email records. And the more those details clash, the harder it becomes for the defense to prove ineffective assistance of counsel. Legally, this is critical because it's not enough to simply regret a plea after immigration consequences appear. The defendant has to show she was genuinely misled or improperly advised in a way that changed her decision-making. But the judge repeatedly points out that there were multiple pretrials, discussions about immigration concerns before the plea, and even emails suggesting the family already understood ILC could impact immigration status. That seriously weakens the argument. And this is why courtroom hearings like this become so intense. Once documentation enters the record, every inconsistency matters. The court isn't just listening to emotions. It's comparing timelines, statements, and evidence line by line. In the end, the judge denies the motion, finding that the defendant likely understood more about the immigration risks than she later claimed. It's a powerful reminder that plea deals can carry consequences far beyond criminal court, especially for non-citizens navigating the immigration system. Who do you think was in the wrong here? Did the attorney explain enough? Or was the defendant left confused during a life-changing decision? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.